My mother is cheating on my father and I don't know what to do. My 21 mother, 41, is cheating on my father, 51, and I am the only one who knows of it. I had my suspicions like a year ago, because she would be calling people a lot and she would speak with them in English. We are a foreign family and most of the time she uses her native language when she talks to family and her friends. And every time I would enter her room while she was talking/texting, she would hide her phone. But these were only suspicions, there was no real evidence. Until one day. She told me to book a hotel for her and her girlfriends. And while showing me the hotel in a text chat, she tried to hide the name of the person who sent the hotel. I managed to peek the name, a male name. He sent her a link to a hotel with the message, "Let's stay at this one." When I saw it, my whole world crumbled. We all are a very religious family, so thinking that is a possibility is out of this world for me. Not only that, she is using me, her child, to book this trip. I did not know what to do, so I played along and tried to look normal. Some days went by, and she went out with her friends. A day before the trip. She came home at like 4 a.m., and when she did I was awake. I heard her go to the bathroom and leaving it. Betting everything on this, I went to the bathroom and locked the door. And as I thought, she left her phone behind. I guessed the passcode, my birth year, and searched for evidence. And then I found the chat with the man. I couldn't believe my eyes. They were texting like a couple in their honeymoon phase. And she called my father, her husband, an uncle. And that's why he couldn't come up. Not only that, she didn't go out with friends, she went out with him. I couldn't believe it, and before I could send the evidence to my phone, she knocked at the door. I opened it and gave her my phone. A couple of hours later she went to her vacation with him and I am just devastated. What should I do? My father is the purest soul on this earth. He kills himself at work so we can have a goof life. And he wears always the nicest smile on his face. He never touched us kids, let alone my mother. Should I tell him? What about my sister? I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. Update. Well, after some time I decided to confront my mother alone. I wanted to see how she would react. I thought if she would be remorseful, I could be supervising her electronics and my father won't be hurt. But the exact opposite happened. My mother and sister were going out to eat something. When they came back, I told my sister to get out of the car. I told my mother, I fucked up and could we go someplace? She only drove like a couple feet before she got suspicious and irritated. I told her everything. That I know where she went, what she did and with whom. And she denied everything. She got angry and hit me. I got also aggressive and took her hands and screamed at her to say the truth. I couldn't handle it anymore and left, telling her that I would tell my father everything if she would come home. I went home and she came back. I couldn't believe it, the guts to come back. I told my father to come and I laid everything out. My mother denied everything and told me that the college stress was getting to me. She painted the picture that I was crazy and she isn't. When she asked me where my proof is, I told her that everything is on her phone. When I told her to give me her phone, she wouldn't comply. She was getting defensive and saying stuff like, "I am your mother, I will never let my child go through my phone." When I asked her to show it to my dad, she was screaming, "How dare you, my husband believes me without going through my phone." Well, now I am laying in bed, without evidence, with a father who does not know whom to believe. Only my sister believes me completely. Update 2. Well, my sister called me to the living room. And my mother was sitting there. I sat down and she said, "Okay, let's talk like adults here." She repeated to me her life story and her childhood traumas. And in this moment I knew, I am broken. The woman whom I had so much love for. The one person I would die for. She is crying in front of me and I couldn't care less. Well, basically she admitted what she did. Not everything, and she was still reluctant showing her phone. I told her, if you really want to mend this relationship, then you'll have to do 4 things. 1. Confess everything to my father. 2. Apologize to us for destroying us. Gaslighting me. And blaming me for everything. 3. Give me your phone. And when you can't promise to yourself that you wouldn't do that again. Leave this family alone. Well, she did nothing. Blamed me for everything. Criticized the way I was talking to her. Criticizing how I handled the situation. Telling me she'll never give me her phone. Saying she will never tell my father what happened because she knows that he doesn't want to know. And stuff like that. Truly anticlimactic. I told her off, and she screamed at me that it was her fault for trying to reason with me. I didn't record the conversation, 'cause I did not think about it. I am not built for this kind of stuff. I am a religious man who avoids everything that could lead to negativity. I am truly worn out, I don't have any energy left to deal with this BS. I will stand with my father, but that's it. When I move out, I'll try to no contact my mother. Because mending this, I don't see any possibility of it happening. Well, my father and my sister had a call. He told her that I was lying because of uni stress and my upcoming engagement. My sister tried to defend me, but apparently he had to continue working and hung up on her. Last update. Well, some time has passed. I thought maybe my father believed me, but this wasn't the case. I just want to end this story quick for everyone. On Friday, my parents wanted to have a big talk with us. The result was that I was kicked out for not apologizing to my mother that I lied. The day after that, my mother called me home to settle things privately, but not cooperating again and not apologizing. She also kicked me out and took away my keys. I am now currently staying at a friend. If one of your parents cheated on the other and you do not have any proof to back up your claims, for your own sake, stay quiet about it. You are just destroying your own life, trust me. This is unbelievable. Now it does not feel this way, but you should be proud of what you've done. You did the right thing. Later, when the truth comes out, your father, and maybe your mother also, will apologize to you. Keep your head high and proud. I hope you'll find a new home with people who truly love you. Second story. Caught wife cheating after 15 years. I'm 45, been married for 15 years to wife, 44, we have 2 kids and I don't know how to really start this, so here we go. Me and my wife were childhood friends, not like we were close cause we really didn't notice each other much until high school after mutual friends started dating, and we saw each other a lot more after that. At first we were friends, and then after I grew a pair of nuts I asked her out and she said yes. A little confession, I had a crush on her before the friends started dating, but I kept it to myself. We started dating out last 2 years of high school and planned to go to the same college, but after figuring out that her school didn't offer the same program, I had to head to another one. Should have seen a problem when the school I picked had her same program, but she told me that it wasn't a place she's seen herself. We tried the long distance for a while, but I really didn't work, so we called it a quit while we were in college. After a few years and I graduated from school, we surprisingly bumped into each other during a visit back home. Conversation sparked up a passion of interest, so we stayed in contact, talking almost every day and reigniting each other passion into each other, and it wasn't long where she had moved into my apartment. It did seem pretty fast now that I think about, but I can't lie, it just felt right at the moment. My career was going well and she was just about to graduate for her degree, so everything seemed right. Now during this time she had a male friend that I called him and he was extremely attractive, like, this guy is a player and I kinda didn't trust him. Okay, I'll be honest, I didn't trust him at all and I hated that my girl was his friend, and we had many conversations about this and she promised me, damn near swore to God himself, that she had no romantic feeling for this guy and they were strictly friends, and that if I really trusted her that I wouldn't worry, believing that I should trust her and know that she wouldn't do anything to sabotage what we are building. Let's fast forward. At this point my work and home life is competing with each other. The kids need me for this, but I have this and that to do by the end of the week, and I'm not gonna lie, I made my mistake maybe leaning too hard on her or not telling her how much I appreciated her, but I always thought it was implied. So one day I come home from work and as I walked in I hear her laughing and giggling. As I head into the kitchen I noticed she was cleaning the dishes and him was sitting at the island talking to her. As I walked into the room a slight quietness entered with me, almost like I was the guest in my house, but they both quickly greeted me, not suspiciously but enough to fill the silence. Now me and him wasn't friends, but we had have a conversation on my uncomfortable feeling about him and my wife, and it wasn't long or combative, it was short and simple. Looking back now he probably got a good laugh at men, but after a few minutes he left and it was me and my wife, and now at this point I don't know if she was already with him or she was just mad at me for not helping out a lot, but when I went in to get close to her or show her some intimate touch she rejected me with, "I'm tired. Had the kids all day." Or she would start a random argument about something that was so small. This has been happening for the last 6 months until I just got to the point and asked, "Is there someone else?" And this will hell broke loose. She called me every name in the book and even brought up some insecurities that I had, and if that wasn't a sign, she didn't talk to me for about a week after that. At this point I knew there was something going on, so I knew I had to figure it out, so I booked her a spa day on my day off and made sure she was completely pampered, and while she left the house me and an electrician buddy placed small cameras around the house. Now, before you say I wouldn't and have done that, I would have left, and you're right, but I was praying that I was going too far. I was hoping that I'll record for a month or 3 and see that I didn't get anything and then know that I'm a dumbass with a great woman that loves me. She came home smiling and even gave me some attention. I thought that maybe the spa day was all she needed, some time to wind down. It was almost like back in the day while it lasted. So after 2 months of recording I didn't find anything, and I was so happy, feeling like a dumbass for putting these cameras in my house, so I stopped watching the cameras for a while. They were just there, completely became out of sight, out of mind. Until one day I get a notification on my phone telling me that something in the house was ajar or something like that, so I checked the cameras since I can see if one of the kids had broke something. As I flicking through the camera I stopped on my front door, noticing a black pair of shoes next to another pair, as it didn't look like none of my shoes, just from what I can see. So something in me said go to the bedroom camera. As I look at that camera there was no one in there, and the bed was still made. For some odd reason I just kept flicking through the camera, and then I caught my wife coming out the laundry room with him behind her. She fixed her clothing and he was buckling his pants. My heart shattered as I couldn't believe what I was seeing. Everything inside of me wanted to go home and kill both of them, I'm not gonna lie, but I thought about my kids and how losing both parents won't benefit them, so I shut everything in my office, and ashamed to say I cried, can't say how long, but long enough where my eyes felt like they were swollen, and after that I knew what I had to do. So as I'm heading home I'm trying to compose myself for this argument that I know was coming. I called a friend of the family and asked if the kids could stay over for a while so that we can talk. They agreed, and as I arrived home my wife was cooking and I can still smell that food like a prisoner. Last meal. As I sat down it was a silence. As I looked at her I pulled out my phone and showed her the video of her and him coming out the laundry room, and all I said why. At first she tried to lie even with video evidence, but after a while pursuing it she finally broke and told me the truth, that her and him has been sleeping together the last 3 years we've been married, and she could be pregnant with his child, and that she sorry I had to find out like this, but since it all out she wants a divorce. It hit me hard cause I came from a broken family and never wanted my kids to feel the struggle of separated family, but after hearing that I got up and went upstairs as I felt defeated. I've worked my ass off and did all I could to place this family on a pedestal, and it felt like someone just kicked it from under me. I wanted to harm myself so bad when I figured that out, but God works in mysterious ways, cause my daughter called me and told me that she loved me, not in those words, but it was what I needed to get better. Get STD testing for you and DNA testing for kids. Lawyer up and fight like hell. Find out what you can legally do in your state to him as well. There may or may not be anything. And above all, out them both to one and all. Make sure everyone you know and who knows them knows what they did, all of it. Stay strong, but always remember this isn't your wife anymore. This is the enemy in the worst fight you may have ever had. Third story. The guy she tells you not to worry about. I, 32, abandoned my girlfriend, 27, in the city after she repeatedly broke my trust. Counting this relationship, my last 3 relationships have ended in me being cheated on. We had been together 8 months, and had been planning a trip to a convention together. Shortly before the trip, she excitedly told me that she made a new friend who was giving us free tickets to the convention. Then things kept snowballing from there. She admitted having flirted with this guy by accident and asked me if she should feel bad. I asked her if he knew she had a boyfriend and her response was no. It felt weird to bring up. And I've learned people are less likely to give you free stuff if you tell them you're in a relationship already. I told her this made me feel uncomfortable and I didn't think it was outrageous of me to ask her to be careful with her actions and words around this guy. She knew I had been cheated on previously and it had destroyed my mental health. She had told me that she had cheated in a previous relationship when she was young and in a bad place, but that she wasn't like that anymore. She seemed to understand my reservations about this guy that she couldn't help laying out in front of me. At the time I hoped it was just her being transparent. So we finally get to the day of the convention, and she makes a beeline to her new friend and spends 90% of her time by his side. I see whispering together and shoulder rubs and giggling and all kinds of things that make me uncomfortable, but I keep it to myself until we're alone. At one point I tried to go hold her hand, something we like to do often, and she pushed it away and said, "Not right now, I'm stressed," while going on to continue laughing in conversation with this other guy. At the end of the day we're alone and I say, "Look, I really don't like how I'm being ignored for this guy you just met. I feel like you're crossing boundaries here that hurt me a lot, and I just want to reassert that this hurts me and give you a chance to stop. I don't like this guy, and I don't like the extra attention you're giving him." Her responses were, "I'm not cheating on you, you can be his friend too. Just try to talk more to him. And I feel like you're targeting how I'm treating a friend because you've been cheated on before." I held firm. "I don't like it, and I hope you take my feelings here seriously." Early next morning she picked up her phone and was typing away. I pretending to keep my eyes closed and sleep, but I could see she was texting this guy. Saying how we had a fight, she felt stressed, worthless, scared. Meanwhile the guy fed her positive affirmations about how special she was and how he liked her. My stomach kept sinking the more I caught out of the corner of my half-closed eyes until I had enough. I said good morning and she rolled over on her side to face the phone away and started talking about how she was texting her coworkers. I gave her a weird look and she said, "My back hurts. You think I'm trying to hide something because I wanted to roll over to where my back was comfortable? You were texting his name." "No, I wasn't. I just told you who I was texting. You're targeting me again." My eyes widened. I sat up and cast a 1,000-mile stare through the wall ahead of me. "Why would you lie about that? I was watching you texting him." She had a small mental breakdown and began begging with me. "I'm so sorry. I'll never do it again. I felt like you were targeting me with him. He's just a friend and I don't want you to think anything else." Still, we made up and went back to the convention where she again made a beeline for this guy and wandered around buying him things. At the end of the day I told her I was going back to the hotel room and she said she was going to go out with the guy for drinks and I was welcome to come along and that she might stay at his hotel room. I said, "Nah, I'm good, goodbye." That goodbye was the last time I saw her. I went and packed my stuff and drove back home several hours away. At 5 a.m. in the morning she realized I had left and called me freaking out that I abandoned her. I told her to enjoy the rest of her trip, but there was nothing else in it for me, and that all her stuff was still in the room her ex-boyfriend, me, had paid for. I also told her if she critically needed a ride home I'd pick her up, not as her boyfriend but only out of necessity. Her new friend would likely be able to drive her anyway. Here she bashed me for abandoning my girlfriend with no place to go. I listened to a lot of crying and begging but held firm. I've seen this story play out several times before. I no longer cared. It's hard to describe how I feel now. It's very hard to trust people without expecting hidden motives or something beyond my vision happening that would hurt me. I feel like I was right in finally putting my foot down, and every close friend I talked to about this told me I did the right thing and shouldn't have put up with that activity. But still sometimes I have nagging questions about if I overreacted, or if I was too sensitive. Like, if there's some way I could have done better, if I was an asshole somehow, let me know, right? TLDR, ex-girlfriend repeatedly ignored my feelings about how she was treating a new guy friend, and I finally gave up on the relationship. Update. A few things I think I should clarify. This happened a few months ago. That whole event was so weird that it's definitely stuck with me a while, and I felt like I needed to share it. I'm still processing parts of it, but writing it down and seeing everyone's replies has helped. I'll share more details now. After my ex found out I had left, she stopped messaging me and calling for a few days while she stayed with the new guy to finish off the convention we had gone to. When she reached out later, she said she begged all of her friends to give her money for an Uber and paid Uber to drive her maybe 2 hours to get her car. I don't even know if I buy that story after everything else, but it's what she claimed. Some friends, some hers, some mine, messaged me to ask what was going on between us, and I went, "Look, here's the story, ask any questions you want, and you tell me if I'm crazy here or if what she did was ridiculously out of line." 6 out of 6 were shocked and immensely disappointed in her. After she got back home, several days later, she begged me to talk to her and explain what happened and what was wrong. I told her I don't trust you, you've shown me you can't be trusted in an area that I'm particularly sensitive to with past trauma. This isn't a chance for you or a plea for you to do better. I don't want to be close with anyone who thinks it's okay to treat their partner that way. She still said she would try her hardest to woo me back, and I cringed and said goodbye. Her next action was asking me if I could return or send back her stuff. What stuff? Apparently the birthday gifts she had given me, she wanted back. I briefly considered how they were the only birthday gifts I had been given by anyone this year, exhaled air through my nose and said I'd send them back through FedEx. I hate FedEx. I sent something to someone I had a very, very low opinion of, and I chose FedEx. Side note, she offered to meet me somewhere to pick up her stuff, my birthday presents, because she said she was visiting nearby with someone, and she deliberately made it vague to see if I'd ask who it was. I didn't ask and didn't care. You might wonder why I entertained her at this point. She knew where I lived and was absolutely capable of showing up to make a point if she wanted something from me. She was trash to me now, so for my own safety and privacy it made sense to bore her and send her anything she might have an excuse to try to come and argue over. I didn't need a scene or long arguments anymore. Finally, she texted me and wished me Merry Christmas, and later made some joke trying to prod me to respond. I ignored both. Let me just tell you, I hate cheaters. I've had people say why you have really bad luck, but it makes me wonder if the majority of people are like this deep down. My faith and trust in other people was already pretty bad, but it's been abysmal this season. Why haven't you blocked her? Nonetheless, I'm quite proud of you for sticking to your guns. Please block this cheater. And there are many people out here who don't cheat.